How would you advise a woman looking to come back to the workforce after a considerable time off?
1 no equals 5 yes. It's a very powerful to get a no.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Confidence, it's a muscle. You put a dumbbell and then you do this 100 times a day. Oh, it's gonna grow a big muscle. It's the same with this confidence thing. If you can't open your mouth and ask for that, you will never succeed in the workplace.
Welcome to Raw with Uma, and I'm Uma, your host and architect of Raw Leadership. Here to bring you unfiltered, unrehearsed, unscripted conversations with women about what really goes on in navigating life and work. Are you ready? Let's get raw. So my guest today is Shirani.
Hi, Uma. Thanks for having me.
You and I are meeting for the first time.
Yes.
We actually just met outside to say a quick hello.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're going to ask me in this show. So what prompted you to sign up to come?
Because I think my question is very valid for a lot of women.
Yeah.
And I know this anecdotally from my own social circles, as well as just, talking to people on LinkedIn and, through other social means.
And I see that you came extra prepared with some papers.
Yeah, occupational hazard.
So tell me a little bit about you first.
So I am, first of all, a mother.
Yeah.
I am also a lawyer and a content creator. So I had 2 professions, basically. And I've been very fortunate that in the past 3 years, I was able to marry both of them in the workplace.
Yeah.
And I had a very good arrangement.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I realized that I need to take some more time off for caregiving because I'm the proverbial sandwich generation where I have to look after children as well as cater to the demands of aging parents. So that's a reality. Yes. And I think I had to be honest with myself and say, okay, what can I cope with?
Yeah.
What do I want to cope with so that I'm giving my best for my new job?
Yeah. I love that you have a portfolio career, which I think is actually admirable and a great thing to have. I can certainly resonate with that. Let's start our chat today. What's the first question you got?
So my question is, how would you advise a woman looking to come back to the workforce after a considerable time off doing caregiving, whether that's taking care of children or whether that's looking after elderly or sick parents or even a spouse? And I'm not talking about just maternity leave, like 3 months, 4 months, you come back, or even a year. Talking about like 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Depending on the intensity of that caregiving.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right. So many people are thinking about it.
Yeah.
Even students are thinking about career breaks even before they start working.
Yeah,
and
it's a reality.
This is on the minds of the women that I talk to and meet in what do I say when I am ready to come back to the workforce. I'm having that conversation with the recruiter. How do I explain myself? What do I say? Yeah. Okay, so then there's 2 parts to this question. So I think let's tackle the first part, which is, what do I say when I'm ready to come back?
Yes.
And I think a lot of women feel like they have to explain themselves. And my perspective is to get on the front foot in that conversation. So you are in a meeting with a recruiter that has looked at your resume and said, let's talk. So you jump on the call. I would say, thank you for setting up this meeting. It's great to meet you. I'm sure you had a chance to read my resume. Here's a 2-minute introduction about myself. By the way, in the last 5x years, here's what I've done, right? Did I take time off for a mental break, for caregiving, etc.? So I would just explain that quickly. And then I would say, during that time, here are the skills I developed and what I learned. And then in the 3rd sentence, say, in the role that you are looking for, I believe these skills are going to apply this way. And that's your intro. Then you don't leave them guessing, or you give them the power to go like, oh, but why did you take such a long career break? You've already preempted it. So you are on the offense instead of being on the defense. Is that something, when you think about that, is that something that you think could work?
Yes, I understand front-footing it.
Yeah.
But I suppose I'm wondering, like, how do you even get to that stage
Yeah,
with
how
a
do you get-
recruiter?
so that's the
because
second
once
part.
they see
Yeah.
a gap, it's like, oh no, I'm going to go for a younger person, or I'm going to go for someone who stayed in the workforce longer
Yeah.
and made it work with
Yeah.
childcare and made it work with the elderly. But you
Yes.
may not have been able to for whatever personal reason.
Yes. And I think I want to just pick on that point that you just said because it's so important, because I think there is so much to be said about mothers, about people who are caring for their parents, especially here in Singapore with multi-generational homes, but also across Asia, right? Where you are caring for your parents, you are the sandwich generation.
Yeah.
You've got kids that are growing up and you have parents to care for.
Yeah.
So you're in the middle, the sandwich generation. And there's just today in 2024, the realization that caregiving equals breadwinning is just not an equation.
Yes.
But there's so much skill and gifts and resilience and you name it that comes with that type of work, because it is work.
Yes.
Right. So I just want to validate that for, anyone out there who might be listening who is in that position and having to do that. Now, let's come back to your question about how do I then actually put myself out there and get those meetings, right? I think the time that you spend during that period is important, because as you develop these skills, etc., I think it's important to stay in touch with your network, to keep somehow, and I think LinkedIn is a great platform for this, sharing the things that you are doing. Because like you're in a portfolio career. So while you might be caring for your parents, taking care of your kids, you might be doing the things that you love, like content. And so you are still putting word out there in terms of what you have to offer, right? Who are you, what you have to offer. So you're not, if someone were to do a quick Google search, or even to go on LinkedIn and look up your profile, it's not like you haven't posted in the last 5 to 10 years. So I'd say that's my number one advice, is to get comfortable to put word out there. Now, I know that sounds really easy to say, but really difficult to do for a lot of women especially, or any underrepresented minority, to put yourself out there on a social media platform. But I would say, ignore the noise that comes with it. A lot of that noise is in your head on what's people going to say if I write about this, or should I change this word to that word? Because this is exactly the journey that I've been on, in just over scrutinizing what to say rather than just saying what I really think and feel, because I'm doing it with the intent to create a dialogue. So I think the second thing is, when you put yourself out there, do it with intent
to engage,
versus doing it to, hey, look at me. And that's where I think authenticity and being able to show up real matters. So I think that's the first thing. You are active in some way because you are using that time meaningfully. So how do you put that activity in the visibility of others?
Yes.
I think that's the first question. And then choose your platform. The question I ask is, where is your audience hanging out? So if your potential employers are hanging out on LinkedIn, that is your platform. Then use that. Right? Some entrepreneurs, their platform and their customers are Instagram. Then use Instagram. Right? So where's the audience hanging out? And that's the platform you use. And I think you really just need one platform instead of trying to spread yourself too thin. Keeping your network, as I talked about, is important. Yeah. So having those coffee meetings, telling people what you've been up to, the special projects you've been taking on. Hey, this week I'm working on this. Because people have 42 bits of information that they can retain at any one point. Yeah. So how do you keep yourself front of mind? So the small engagements matter. Right. So I think being very specific about, okay, who are the potential employers? How do you keep in touch with them? How do you get the coffee introductions now, so that later, by the time you call on the favor, you've actually had 5 years to develop that relationship. You are no longer another name that's asking for a coffee meeting.
I see. So basically keep your profile active, whether it's socially, in person, or online.
Yeah.
And keep networking.
The network is super important because that's how these jobs actually come to light. A lot of them are not published.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then my second question leads on from that, which is, what about women who don't have the confidence to put themselves out there? What would your advice be to them? Like, I don't want to write on LinkedIn. I've never been on LinkedIn. I haven't used it for 10 years. I don't want to suddenly put it out there. Who would be interested in reading what I have to say? It's not even work related.
Yeah.
So,
so LinkedIn is a platform for professionals.
Yeah.
So as much as possible, you do want your content to resonate in some sort of professional way. Now, I speak openly, for example, about having my period.
I read that.
Right? But it is linked to, as a woman in the workplace, I have to hide the tampon I'm carrying while I walk to the bathroom, right? So it is still workplace related. So I think that's the first thing. You somehow associate it back to the workplace so that it's not just a personal post. Because the mistake I did was I studied a lot of influencers. I wouldn't say a lot, maybe 10. And then I took some classes with them, and then I tried their methods, and it just wasn't me.
Yeah.
But I tried.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that it didn't work for me had I not tried. So I'd say start small.
Yeah.
See
The
what
feedback.
works for you and what feels right. You know, it felt like foreign clothing to me. You know, it felt like I was wearing winter clothes in summer or something, you know. And I was like, this is just not me. I'm just going to have to write what I feel is right. And actually, it's not about the likes. Don't do it for the likes, right? Do it because you want to create a dialogue, because you want to create connections, because you want to start a debate. You know, do it for the right reasons. And just the consistency of it is going to be important.
Okay.
Like start once a week and then start twice a week and then 3 times a week. But, you know, start once a week for a month.
Yeah.
You know, give yourself a goal that is possible, realistic, doable, so that if you can't do it, if it's too high of a goal, then, you know, as we all know, we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? Me, you know, judgmental, critical. So I'll be beating myself up if I didn't do it. If I said 3 posts a week and I didn't do it. Like, be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Make mistakes and just ignore the voices of people who you think might have something to say about it. Or you have all these ideas about, they're going to be like, who does she think she is, you know? Or what is she posting about? This is not relevant. Why would she do it? Like, who is this person? And why would she talk about this topic? Like, insert your comment that you think is going to come up.
Yeah.
And unless they are people that genuinely care about your well-being and success, I'd say that's just noise. It's just noise.
Okay. That's helpful. So far you're saying, create your profile, maintain it, keep it updated, and then front foot with recruiters, right?
Yes.
I guess another question I have, which has been discussed amongst my friends also, is, you know, if you see a role that might suit you, but it's advertised as a full-time role, is it considered bad faith or even bad manners to approach and say, hey, actually, I think I have the skills to fit this role, but I need part-time hours or I need flexible hours?
Yeah.
Would you say that that's rude? Or is that acceptable in the current environment? Or you just shouldn't do that? You should just only apply for part-time jobs? Or
I would say absolutely ask for it.
Great.
Because my experience and my last job, I had a team of 800. And when I see, or my leadership team sees great talent, we figure out how to bring that talent in an environment that works best for that talent. And that's what good companies do.
That's amazing.
Right? And I know that the reality is that there may not be a lot of good companies out there, but hey, if they aren't even willing to entertain that conversation with you, remember, interviews are two-way, right? You're interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. So I say put the ask out there. And if you don't ask, you don't even know what the answer is. So absolutely apply and ask. And if they love you, they're going to figure out a way to get it to work. Yeah. I am always thinking about, with my other founder, who has all these gifts that we need out there? That's the first question we ask. The second question is, how do we make it work for them and for us?
Win-win.
So we start with the people and what they bring to the table. I think the right founders and SMEs out there will approach it that way. And again, what I said earlier, if they don't, then hey, you know because you asked. And if that's not an environment you want to be in, then you at least qualified it out. I always say 1 no equals 5 yes. So it's a very powerful to get a no. You just move on.
Great. That's helpful. Thank you.
I loved having this conversation with you, and I can't wait to hear what my co-host today has to say about the very same questions you have. So thank you, Shirani, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So my co-host for today's episode is Jingjin. I met Jingjin online in 2020, when we were both named Top 10 LinkedIn Top Voice for Gender Equity. Jingjin is the founder, along myself, of Elevate, a group of companies we're building over the next 10 years to bring social justice and inclusion for women in Asia. She founded and exited previous ventures while raising a family both here in Asia and having lived in Europe. She was formerly CEO of Zazazu, an education platform with a mission to help professional women master challenges at work and at home. What did you hear in that conversation?
Yeah, and I think this is something, there's two sides of the things. So number one is systemic change. That is something why politics need to come in, the social perception need to change, but we can't wait for that. So what I want to address is things that women specifically can do if you take a longer break, 5 to 10 years. It's a long time, and let's be, like you said before, let's front-footed. And when I hear this, sometimes it's hurt me so much as a mother, is because you are doing everything to make the world run in a way, because let's say most of the men who are breadwinner, they are able to shine, to put themselves out there, is because of the caregiving, the back office work that women are doing. And because breadwinning is so much more emphasized and appreciated in the society, and caregiving is not even accounted to GDP, we just forget them. They are invisible. And every time I hear this, I feel injustice and just angry. But we can't change that. So women, what specifically can women do? For me, it's, like you said, start your social platform, a journey, either LinkedIn or LinkedIn. For me, still by far the most important things to share the journey. Let's say caregiving, 5 or 10 years, you learn a lot from the mental load, the resilience, everything what today's leadership is talking about. If you flip through, you ask any top leaders, what is required today for the next generation? Mental resilience. How often do we see younger generation, even older generation say, "Oh, I can't hold this anymore. I burn out. I just suicidal." All these kind of things. It all comes from because we are not resilient. And I don't know any species or sex that is resilient than a mother or than a caregiver for an elderly or for a disabled person or for your own children. And that, I think, of course, society need to value that. But when you as a woman, after you take the break, you come into the interview and saying, I have cared for 2, let's say, disabled children, or my mother who has Alzheimer for the past 5 years. These are the things I have done. These are the mental load. Be as specific as possible and put it out there, but also as succinct as possible. And if you want to have a resilient leader who do not quit just because things get hard,
Yes.
who can manage your team, who stay calm during the turbulence, not just, we see so many leaders just, okay, let's just go whatever the CEO says, let's go this direction, that direction, who maintain calm, who still see the direction. And I don't know anybody who can do this better than a caregiver. And I think for women, you need to own it. So when you said, when I come to a conversation, the first thing, I'm going to put the elephant in the room saying this, I chose to take the break for 5 or 10 years in order to do 1, 2, 3. Now the things are settled. I'm back. I have gained through this 5, 10 journey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's why I am the best candidate for this role. And let me showcase you 1, 2, 3.
I like that. I like the intro of I chose, I made the decision to versus I had to.
Yeah.
I think that's a strong introduction to.
If you want to put yourself out there and you have to send a message in the universe that I chose to do this, and now time has come that the second period of my life has come. I've settled other things at home. Now I'm here with all the skill that I've gained, and I'm always not a caregiver. I don't know how to care for an Alzheimer patient. I don't know none of us know how to raise children, but we learn that all along the way.
Yeah.
So why do you think that I can't learn some things that even AI can't learn? You have to bring that attitude.
Yeah. So this confidence thing is an ongoing conversation and one that we are going to continue to have for a very long time as it relates to women. You and I have talked a lot about our individual stories and how we struggled with confidence as, girls with dark skin growing up in our respective countries and all the stories that come with that. So for a woman to really get into a call like that and say like, yeah, I'm going to own it, And I used to fake it until I made it. But what would you say, Jingjin, on if there's one thing women can do to just be able to bring that energy when they step into a conversation like that, what would they do?
Yeah, I think, so I used to fake it until make it as well. And I don't like the term, but I do believe the essence behind. Because there are so many things about confidence and we hire confident people. While it is a little bit characteristic thing, but it's a muscle. It's 100% muscle, just like your triceps. You put a dumbbell and then you do this 100 times a day. Oh, it's gonna grow a big muscle. It's the same with this confidence thing. If you don't believe it, while having circle, one thing you said is essential to have people around you always pull you back. I said, I had this conversation with the interview, I think did not go well. And then instead of saying, oh, honey, you did well, that's your friend. No, you need to have ready, what did not go well? Mirror me, what exactly did your recruiter say? What did you answer? Let's practice. Practice with the mirror. Practice with the people that believe in you, support you. Getting into that mode. Internalize it until you believe it.
Yeah.
So I think that's having that exercise instead of take the time to do this exercise instead of making the time to beating ourselves up. Because the woman, the reality is, that thing did not go well. Because, I didn't have the experience. Now, and then I do not look good. And then the narrative, my knowledge is so outdated. That's why I'm not capable. That's why I don't have confidence. This vicious circle in your head just going on and on and on. And I say, we suffer so much in imagination in reality, and we have to let it go.
And I want to end with the conversation that starts at home, because you are a big proponent that confidence in the bedroom leads to confidence in the boardroom.
Yeah, so that's our used to be our most asked workshop. We came up with this provocative narrative, essentially saying equality needs to start at home. And most of the women, we carry all this invisible burden, be the breadwinner and still do all the works. I would just and then they say, my husband's not doing things, they don't like to do things. I would be like, okay, that's all your fault as a woman, because you didn't start a conversation at home as saying, these are the works. We are equals, we see eye to eye, and these are things. If I cook, you're gonna wash the dishes. If I wash the dishes, you're gonna cook. You pick up the kids, you send the kids in the morning, I send the kids pick them up in the afternoon. So it's a sharing, and just as in how you manage your team, you have to delegate, you have to give the task to each other and hold each other accountable. And the partner, the boyfriend, the person you live with, if you can't open your mouth and ask for that, you will never succeed in the workplace because your male peers, your male bosses, you don't even manage the man at home. In that sense, whether you are the breadwinner or you can be the caregiver as well. But if you don't have that conversation at home with the closest man in your life, how can you have that conversation, bring up that confidence at work with a strange man, with a man that have no relationship with you? So I think, and people ask, oh, how do you build confidence? Again, exercise at home first, because that is the safest place. Oh, but I'm afraid, he's gonna think that side of me. Oh, please show him that side of you before you marry him. You better marry the person that, know that side of you to have the sustainable and good marriage. And I think going back to the point, one thing that you mentioned was that elephant in the room. Policies change, regulation, this need to kick in for sure. But do also for the ladies who is listening to that and for organizations who are listening to this, I think next generation, even starting already in our generation, slowly, men don't just want to have children anymore. They want to be daddies. Men want to be daddies. They want to spend time with their children. But because the workplace as such is still kind of toxic, men, if you don't stay late until 9 p.m., it's a bad sign. And if we collectively, individually, because we are with women saying we are gonna step up because my husband's gonna pick up the children, so I can actually stay for the 5 or the 6 p.m. call. You give agency to men who actually are too scared to take that paternity leave because I'm afraid what people are gonna see me. You are giving agency to them at the same time. So if women step up and men take a step back, deliberate step back, the whole workplace, the culture is going to change, and that's going to start with individuals. I believe that generally all changes need to come from top, but this one comes from individual. Imagine just in the company, 10 team member comes to the leader and saying, 5 out of the 10 months saying, you know what, my wife took a bigger job now. Now we are, now it's my turn. So no 5 p.m. meeting now. All 5 men. What are leader gonna do? They're gonna change to the 5 to 8 p.m. to the family time now. Because everyone collectively demands that, men and women. And this is how we change the narrative.
Thank you, Jingjin. Great conversation, and so nice to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
If you're hearing this message, you've listened to a new episode all the way to the end. And for that, I thank you for the generosity of your time. To wrap up, here are a few points from this episode. If you are a woman in the workplace who has taken a very long career break for varied reasons to care for your family, mental health, for whatever of those reasons, be confident that the time that you had away absolutely added to your skills and your capabilities. And especially if you are a mom, you are a superwoman, and you really should be thinking about all the skills and capabilities that you bring to the workplace. You are more powerful than you know, so take that first step to ask, to start with the front foot, to start these conversations at home. You heard from Jingjin, confidence in the bedroom leads to confidence in the boardroom. So get those conversations started if you want more for yourself. What else did you take away from this conversation? I'd love to hear what you think, so please follow, like, and leave a comment, and I promise to read all of them. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, check out the link below and send in your details. See you next week.